Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Irsan Amar. In this video, we will learn about part of speech. There are 8 parts of speech in English language. Number 1 is noun, number 2 is pronoun, number 3 is verb, number 4 is adjective, number 5 is adverb, number 6 is preposition, number 7 is conjunction, and the last one, number 8, is interjection. So without further ado, let's go to the topic number 1, noun. So we are in noun topic. Okay, what is noun? What is definition of noun? So nouns are words that represent people, places, things, or even ideas, and that include anything that can be touched, smelt, heard, felt, or seen. Noun also answer questions that begin with what and who. That is definition of noun. Okay, after we learn about the definition of nouns, now let's continue about the type of nouns. Number 1 is common nouns. These refer to general categories of people, places, things, or ideas. They are not capitalized unless they begin a sentence. This is the examples: cat, city, book, tree, and dog. Okay, the next is proper noun. What is proper noun? So proper nouns refer to specific individuals, places, or things, and it's always capitalized. For example, like Ichan, I is capital, Palembang, P is capital, Eiffel Tower, A is capital, and tower is capital too. Okay, the next is concrete nouns. These represent tangible, physical objects that can be seen, touched, smelt, taste, or heard. Okay, for example, like this can, coin, and tissue. The fourth is abstract noun. These refer to intangible concepts, qualities, feelings, or ideas that cannot be perceived through the sense. For example, like love, courage, happiness, knowledge, and freedom. The fifth is countable nouns. These can be counted as individual units and have both singular and plural forms. For example, apple as a singular, apples as a plural, book as a singular, books as a plural. Okay, the sixth or the next is uncountable nouns. These represent substance, concepts, or ideas that cannot be counted as discrete units. For example, like happiness, informations, advice, sugar, and water. Seventh is collective noun. What is collective noun? These refer to groups, remember, groups of people, animals, or things as a single unit. Okay, as a single unit. For example, like team, family, flock, and audience. The next or eighth is compound nouns. These are formed by combining 2 or more words to create a new nouns. For example, toothbrush, basketball, raincoat, and greenhouse. The ninth is possessive nouns. This indicates ownerships or possessions of something. For example, Ichan's car, cat's tail, company's logo. Okay, the last is variable nouns, or you can call it gerunds. These are nouns formed by verbs by adding ing and can function as subjects or objects. For example, swimming, reading, cooking, singing, teaching, and sitting. Okay, after we learn about noun, let's continue to learn about pronoun. after we learn about nouns, example of nouns, and kind of or types of nouns, now we learn about pronouns, the next part of speech that we will learn today. What is pronoun? Okay, pronoun is a word that used to replace a noun in a sentence. Pronouns often used to avoid repetition and make sentences flow more smoothly. We know about the definition from pronouns. The next is kind of pronouns or type of pronouns. Number one is personal pronouns. There are three on it. First is subject pronouns. It's used as the subject of a sentence. The example like I, you, he, she, it, we, they. Object pronouns. It's used as the object of a verb or preposition. Like me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. Possessive pronouns show ownership or possession. The example like mine, theirs, ours, it, yours, his, and hers. Okay, number two is reflexive pronouns. It emphasizes that the actions of the verb is performed by the same person or thing that is subject of a sentence. Okay, the example like myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourself, yourself, and themselves. Number three is demonstrative pronouns. It's point out specific people, places, or things. It's point out specific. The example like this, that, these, those. Four is interrogative pronouns. It's used to ask questions. Ask questions. The example like who, whom, what, which, and whose. Number five is relative pronouns. It introduces relative clauses and connect them to the main clause. Okay, the example like that, which, whose, whom, and who. Six is indefinite pronouns. It refers to non-specific people or thing. Remember, non-specific. The example like someone, everybody, anybody, anything, nobody, all, some, none, and many. Number seven is reciprocal pronouns. Indicate action that is reciprocated between two or more people. The example like each other, one another. And the last is number 8 is possessive determiners. These are often considered a type of pronoun and are used before nouns to indicate possession. Okay, the example like my, your, his, her, its, our, and their. Okay, now we are in part 3, learn about part of speech. Now we are learn about verb. What is verb? Okay, I got 3 information or definition from definition of verb. They are from expert learners, from Cambridge Dictionary, and from Collins Dictionary. From Oxford learners, verb defined as a word or group of words that express an action, such as eat, or an event, such as happen, or a state, such as exit. And according to Cambridge Dictionary, a verb is defined as a word or phrase that describes an action, condition, or experience. The Collins Dictionary provides a much more elaborate definition of a verb. According to them, a verb is a word such as sing, feel, or die, which is used with a subject to say what someone or something does or what happens to them, or to give information about them. Okay, that is definition of verb. General classification of verbs according to what they signify. 1. Verb referring to actions. Verb referring to action or action verbs are those that involve the movement of one's body in one way or the other. Some examples of verb referring to actions are as follow: walk, run, talk, sit, and read. Number 2 is verb referring to experience or feelings. These are verbs that refer to something that you can feel or experience and do not necessarily involve a movement of any kind. Some examples of verbs referring to feelings and experiences are as follows: love, hate, envy, believe, and trust. Number 3 is verbs referring to a state or conditions. These verbs are those that refer to situations or the states of being. All forms of to be belong to this category. Some examples of verb referring to a state or conditions are as follows: am, is, are, was, and were. Next are the various types of verbs. Number 1 is auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. Auxiliary verbs or helping verbs, as the name suggests, is a verb that is used to help another verb sound sensible and meaningful. It is used to change the other verb's tense, mood, or voice. So, every time an auxiliary verb is used, you always have one more verb. Which acts as the main verb in a sentence. Examples of auxiliary verbs are am, is, are, was, and were. 2 is modal verbs. Modal verbs are those verbs that are used to denote the possibility, probability, capability, or necessity of something happening. Modal verbs, unlike other auxiliary verbs, cannot be used as a main verb in a sentence. So it cannot be used in a main verb in a sentence. Examples of modal verbs are can, could, will, would, and may. Number 3 is phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs include phrases that are formed by combining two or more parts of speech that performs the same function as a verb in a sentence. In most cases, the phrasal verb results from a combination of a verb and a preposition. Some examples of phrasal verbs are go by, lay off, log in, get off, and run out. Okay, what is adjective? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, an adjective is defined as a word that describes a noun or pronoun. According to Collins Dictionary, an adjective is a word such as big, that, or financial that describes a person or thing, or gives extra information about them. Adjectives usually come before nouns or after linked verbs. That is definition of adjective. Okay, next are types of adjectives. Adjectives can be divided into different categories based on their functions when used in a sentence. The different types of adjectives are 1. Possessive adjectives, 2. Integrative adjectives, 3. Demonstrative adjectives, and 4. Compound adjectives. So let's talk about possessive adjectives. So these adjectives, like possessive pronouns, are used to show or represent possessions of a quality. For example, like my, your, his, her, their, its, whose. The next is interrogative adjectives. What is that? So that is an adjective that is used to modify a noun or a pronoun by asking a question is called an interrogative adjectives. There are only a few adjectives that can be termed as interrogative adjectives. There are whose, what, and which. The next is demonstrative adjectives. Demonstrative adjectives are mainly used to describe the positions of a subject, a noun or pronoun, in space in space or time. These, that, these, or those are the demonstrative adjectives in English. Now the last is compound adjectives. Compound adjectives consist of two or more adjectives that are combined together to form an adjective that can be used to modify the subject. Okay, some example of compound adjectives are cotton-tailed, curly-haired, absent-minded, happy-go-lucky. Okay, now let's talk about preposition. What is preposition? So, preposition is a word or group of words used before a noun, pronoun, or noun phrase to show direction, time, place, location, special relationships, or to introduce an object. Some examples of prepositions are words like in, at, on, of, and to. Prepositions in English are highly idiomatic, although there are some rules for usage. Most preposition usage is dictated by fixed expressions. In these cases, it is best to memorize the phrase instead of the individual preposition. A few rules of prepositions. Prepositions of directions. To refer to a direction, use the prepositions to, in, into, on, and onto. For example, she drove to the store. Don't ring the doorbell. Come right into the house. Prepositions of time. To refer to one point in time, use the prepositions in, at, and on. Use in with parts of the day, not specific times, like months, years, and seasons. For example, he reads in the evening. The weather is cold in December. Use at with the time of day. Also use at with noon, night, and midnight. For example, I go to work at 8 o'clock. He eats lunch at noon. Use on with days. I work on Saturdays. He does laundry on Wednesdays. To refer to extended time, use the preposition since, for, by, during, from blah 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 blah, to, from blah 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 blah, until, with, and within. For example, I have lived in Minneapolis since 2005. He will be in Toronto for 3 weeks. Prepositions of place. To refer to a place, use the prepositions in for the point itself, at for the general vicinity, on for the surface, and inside for something contained. For example, they will meet in the lunchroom. She was waiting at the corner. To refer to an object, higher than a point, use the prepositions over and above. To refer to an object lower than a point, use the prepositions below, beneath, under, and underneath. For example, the bird flew over the house. The plates were on the shelf above the cups. To refer to an object close to a point, use the prepositions by, near, next to, between, among, and opposite. For example, the gas station is by the grocery store. The park is near your house. Prepositions of location. To refer to a location, use the prepositions in for an area or volume, at for a point, and on for a surface. For example, they live in the country. She will find him at the library. Prepositions of special relationships. To refer to a special relationship, use the prepositions above, across, against, ahead of, along, among, around, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, from, in front of, inside, near, of, out of, through, toward, under, and within. For example, the post office is across the street from the grocery store. We will stop at many attractions along the way. Now we are talk about conjunctions. What are conjunctions? Conjunctions are used to combine two or more objects, phrases, or clauses. It can also be termed as connectors, as they are employed in sentences to make connections. Conjunctions can normally be found in the later part of a sentence if they are used to connect clauses. If conjunctions are used to connect objects or phrases, they can appear in the beginning, middle, or end of the sentence according to the position of the objects or phrases. Types of conjunctions. Conjunctions are mainly used to join actions, ideas, and thoughts. They are categorized into three main types. Number one, coordinating conjunctions, used to combine two independent clauses. Examples of coordinating conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Number two is subordinating conjunctions, used to combine an independent clause and a dependent clause. Examples of subordinating conjunctions are if, although, though, after, before, because, as if, unless, until, when, while. Number three is correlative conjunctions, used to combine two phrases of parts of the sentence which have equal importance within a sentence. Examples of correlative conjunctions are not only, but also, either, or, neither, nor, whether, or, rather, or, if, then. Now we are in last material about part of speech. They are interjections. So what are interjections? Interjections are words or phrases that express strong emotions or reactions such as surprise, joy, frustration, or excitement. They are often used in spoken language and can be found in written dialogue as well. Interjections do not have a grammatical function in a sentence. Instead, they are used to convey a speaker's feelings or to interrupt the flow of conversation. Okay, here are some examples about interjections. Excitement or surprise. The example like wow, wow, yes, yay, woohoo, rose, oh my. Discuss the example about yuck, ooh, ugh, gross. The example about pain or discomfort. Ouch, oh, oof. Agreement or understanding. Yes, yep, uh-uh. Disbelief or doubt. What? No way. Seriously? Happiness. Hooray! Yay! Woohoo! And whee! Anger or annoyance. Like, er, er. Greetings. Hello. Hi. Hey. Farewell. Goodbye. Bye. See ya. Frustration. Ah. Confusion. Huh? What? There are some examples about interjections. Guys, thank you for watching my video. I hope this video is helpful for you guys to learn about part of speech. I hope we can meet again in my next video. See you in my next video. Bye bye.